to NPS Now, your source for news and information about Norfolk Public Schools. I'm your host, Karen Tanner, and with me today is Chief Academic Officer, Dr. Kipp Rogers. Welcome back again to NPS Now.
Thank you, Ms. Tanner.
Well, you led an exciting initiative at Convocation, I Am NPS. Where did that idea originate from for us to get so pushed into social media?
Well, the idea came as a result of us having conversations during our cabinet meetings, and that's our senior level administrators at Central Administration Building. And we talked about having this idea about telling our own stories and how can we make that happen, leveraging the resources that we currently have. We have websites, we have phone call messaging that goes out, and then we of course have social networking. We have a Facebook account, we also have a Twitter account. So we thought about the idea of using a hashtag, and actually I Am NPS wasn't the first one. I think we had NPS 2015. Okay. And just in conversations, one of those brainstorming things, we had a staff member, Carlos Clanton, who came up with the idea, let's use I Am NPS, and everyone jumped on it and said that's a catchy hashtag, let's use it. So it kind of developed into this thing that certainly was not planned, and it was spontaneous.
And now it's continuing.
Yes.
So tell me, to do hashtag I Am NPS Now, you have to use Twitter. So folks who aren't familiar with that, I know you're a Twitter guru. Share a little bit about Twitter with us.
Well, actually, you don't have to use Twitter. Actually, the hashtag works with any social networking, well, most social networking too. Of course, the most popular ones are certainly Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Lots of people enjoy using Pinterest. So those would probably be some of the more popular social networking tools that you can use. And of course, if you attach a hashtag to it, that's simply a way of tagging a conversation or a topic or an idea that makes it easy to search it if you're going back to it.
So what do you think is important for us as a school system to get involved in Twitter and Facebook and social media?
Great question. I think social networking is a culture that we live in today, not only with young people, but with seasoned adults such as myself as well. And it's a way of getting information quickly and information that has interest of you. So from the academic perspective, how can we leverage that tool to support our students and our stakeholders, our parents, our community, as well as those that work within the school division? It's important because you're able to do research on information of interest to you. You can share information and news of great things that are happening in the school. For example, if I'm a teacher and I've had kids do a presentation on projects that they've shared, I can take photos of that and post it out to the world. And not only will my students have access to it, but my parents, but maybe some other teachers in Virginia or the country or even the world for that matter, because the world does use social networking. So it's a great way of categorizing information and sharing information, the great things that are happening in our school division.
So I referred to you earlier as a guru with social media. But tell me, how long have you been using social media, and why do you think it's so effective?
I probably used social media. At first, I didn't understand the purpose of Twitter. I didn't want to know what people were doing in their backyards on their days off. I didn't quite understand it, and it took a little while, not long, to really understand the power of it. So I've probably been using the Twitter or social network in general for probably about 8 years, I'm guessing. Probably not long after Twitter started. So it's been about 7 or 8 years with Twitter. Of course, there were some social networking tools that were not as popular as Twitter, so it's about 7 or 8 years, I would say.
So you think it's a good tool for parents and students to come on and use, and not just tell us what they're doing in the backyard on a Saturday, but academically, what their children are doing and how they're supporting their kids?
I think it's a great resource, a just-in-time resource for students as well as parents to be able to use to find out what's going on. As a matter of fact, I would argue that social networking is probably the fastest way to find out current information, because more often than not, if you have multiple people at an event or a situation that's taking place, somebody's going to talk about it through social networking, and you can get firsthand information. It may not always be accurate, but you'll get some idea about what's taking place at that moment in time, and that's certainly no different from what can take place in a school or an athletic event. You can share just-in-time information regarding the event that's taking place.
What other type of technologies you think we can use throughout the school system to share information?
Well, of course, there's social networking, but I think the window to any school division is the website. And I think the website is almost like a kitchen, if you will, for a school division. So I think the website, of course, is a way that we can communicate everything that's taking place in our school division, all the resources that we have to offer for not only our students, but our staff, the members of the community, businesses, and things of that nature. So I definitely think that that's a resource that we could use.
Right. So aside from all the social media, what are some other exciting things academically that are happening at Norfolk Public Schools?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question. We're super excited about our Virginia Preschool Initiative Plus program, and we do have availability for that for our 4-year-old students. Of course, families do have to meet the criteria that are set by the Department of Education, so we encourage those families to take advantage of that. We also have 3 big initiatives, or 3 big focuses this year, or foci this year, regarding instruction, and that is response to intervention, which is a pretty strategic manner in which we support our students who need additional help. Lesson planning, I think that is the roadmap of good instruction. We'll do a lot with that. And also differentiating instruction, not delivering instruction in a one-size-fits-all manner. We're also exploring our K-12 literacy model with a committee is being planned, and also the school board recently is in conversation about having exploration with our BYOD initiative in place. So I'm super excited about that.
Well, stop right there,
Yes.
just real quick. BYOD.
Bring
Explain
your
what
own
that
device.
Perfect. I knew that, but I
Exactly.
want to make sure the parents knew that.
Exactly.
And what is that initiative?
Well, it's not an initiative as of yet.
As
We
yet,
are pulling
okay.
together a steering committee that will be comprised of building level staff, teachers, administrators, members of the community, to have a conversation about what it is and what it might look like in Norfolk Public Schools.
And it could look like students bringing their phones, their iPads, and different things of that nature to do research and actual work in the classroom.
Exactly. How do you leverage tools that students have at their possession, to help them learn better? For example, using your calendar as a productivity tool. You don't always have to use it in specific ways to teach things, but we want to teach students how to be lifelong learners and productive citizens, and how do you utilize the tools that you have currently to your best.
Right, and we're becoming a technology world, so why not use the technology around us
Exactly.
to grow? Well, great. Thank you for coming on the show and sharing all the social media tips, and hopefully we'll have more folks come to our social media wall. We do have one, so if the viewers are watching, they need to do hashtag #IamNPS Now, send your pictures, information, whatever, and we'll be glad to show it on our wall. And it's still running since convocation, so thank you
Absolutely.
guys for that great idea.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
Great to have you. And we want you to stay tuned for more NPS Now.
Welcome back to NPS Now. I'm Steve Setmiller, Senior Coordinator of Athletics. Today we have 2 special guests in the studio to talk about athletic training. We have Christine Feldbauer from Atlantic Orthopedic Specialist, and we have a returning veteran guest, Molly Jean Burgess from Centera Health. Welcome.
Thank you.
All right, Christine, let's start with you. The partnership that we have with Atlantic Orthopedic Specialist, talk a little bit about that.
So I'm one of the 2 athletic trainers that Atlantic Orthopedic Specialist provides for NPS. We have 1 full-time athletic trainer in the high school setting, Matthew Talley, and we have myself, and I work with the middle school athletics. So we provide athletic training services as well as a way to get referrals or get our athletes seen by a specialist in a timely manner as well.
Okay. Molly, she mentioned that she works with the middle school athletic program now, and that's been your role with Norfolk Public Schools over the last couple of years with our partnership with Centera. So kind of expand upon that role now.
Okay, so I'm the head athletic trainer for the middle schools. We have a staff of 5 other athletic trainers, 4 other athletic trainers. We each have our own schools that we're assigned to, so we do daily visits. We provide coverage for all the events, injury evaluation, and we're kind of that gatekeeper for any sort of situation that might come up with our student athletes.
Okay. Now, it's not like the high schools where the high school athletic trainer is there day in and day out from the start of athletics to the end of athletics. So talk a little bit about the difference between middle school athletic training and high school athletic training.
Okay, so in middle school, each of our athletic trainers is assigned to either 1 or 2 home schools. I am the head athletic trainer for the Academy of Discovery at Lakewood and Norview Middle School. Christine is with Ruffner and Blair. So just for an example, on any afternoon, we'll visit both schools, spend about half an hour to an hour at each school, making ourselves available for any injuries that might come up. And coordinating with the parents if there are injuries, and then we visit our next school. So our other athletic trainers are doing the same thing in the other schools, just being available for whatever those kids might need.
So the nice thing about it is they're getting a licensed healthcare provider out there on a daily basis, and really just in any time that they need, they can contact you directly. Now, with the middle school athletic program, obviously it's new with increasing the number of athletic trainers that we have to serve the student athletes and to help the athletic directors and coaches. But what's something new that, and the concussion program has been there as it has, but with the middle school athletes, what's been new for them
So this
for
year,
football?
So this year we're starting impact testing our middle school football players. So for impact testing, you have a baseline assessment, which assesses cognitively where an athlete is prior to sustaining a concussion. So that really helps us when a student athlete does sustain a concussion in the middle school setting, knowing when they've really returned to what's normal for them in the classroom or cognitively before they're put back on the field.
Okay. All right. So again, that's a critical program to have. Athletic training, and Molly, you've been here, like I've said, 2 or 3 times on the show, and we've talked about what the athletic trainer, their skills that they have. But let's kind of focus on what actually happens with some injuries. And injuries today get national news. I mean, obviously the concussion injury is significant. That's in the news all the time. But now, recently we've had some other types of injuries that unfortunately has led to death in student athletes, and we try never to be part of that. But we have to prepare for those things. And so talk a little bit about the preparation that athletic trainers go through in dealing with potentially catastrophic injuries.
So at the beginning of the year, we have an in-service. Usually it's at Powhatan Stadium. All of our athletic trainers, we invite our EMTs that we partner with, as well as our team physicians. We all come together and we practice spine boarding, splinting, what kind of response we're going to give to certain injuries. So typically on the field injuries, but then we also talk about our emergency action plans, which in the high schools are developed by the athletic trainers. That basically is just kind of like an overview of what to do in an emergency. So each athletic trainer at the high school has developed that, met with their coaches and athletic directors. And we actually did that. Christine and I did that this year for the middle schools as well.
Yeah, so Christine, talk a little bit about the EAPs at the middle school level, because they're certainly different from the high school level.
Yeah, so obviously because the athletic trainer isn't on site all the time in the middle school setting, Molly and I devised emergency action plans for the schools, but the coaches and the athletic administrators have kind of a different role, whereas the primary person on the scene in a high school setting is typically your athletic trainer, but in the middle school setting it may not be. So once we had devised these emergency action plans, which are site-specific and specific to each of the schools, we reviewed them with the athletic administrators and there to review them with their coaches and have it accessible for them. So they have a little bit different role in the middle school, whereas in the high school it's more on the athletic trainer.
Okay. So what kind of injuries have we come across that are kind of different at the middle school level versus the high school level? Have you seen anything different for that?
Yeah, I mean, there's usually a lot of fractures and concussions. I would say those are the 2 big injuries. And with middle school student athletes at that age, we're really concerned about growth plate injuries. So that's why fractures need to be considered really given a lot of attention. We need to get those seen and evaluated by a specialist, which is where Christine is a big help in getting them seen by Atlantic orthopedic specialists.
Okay. All right, Molly, you talked a little bit about some of the training that goes on during the preseason, just like we do with, the teams go through their preseason training. And you mentioned that, we have the in-service with our EMTs, our physicians, and all our athletic trainers. But something that came out of that through the National Athletic Trainers Association was something called a timeout. Talk a little bit about the timeout.
So that's kind of the gold standard for all athletic trainers across the nation now. Before any event, the medical staff gets together, talks about sort of the emergency procedures, everything outlined in the emergency action plan for that site, basically whose role is who in that situation, where the ambulance is going to pull up, who's going to be directing the ambulance, and what kind of chain of events are going to occur if an injury happens. So that happens at the beginning of every football game. Usually it's the home athletic trainer, the visiting athletic trainer, the EMTs, and team physician, as well as any other athletic trainers or medical personnel that might be there. At some of our other events, if there are not additional medical personnel, we just encourage our athletic trainers to take a minute, consider what they would do if a situation would arise.
Yeah, and that's a good question. Some folks may want to say, why don't you have ambulances at the field hockey game or the basketball game? Well, I mean, some of it is cost prohibitive, and but having both athletic trainers communicating before an event is critical. So timeout seems like it's been going well so far.
Yes, very well.
And hopefully we don't have to utilize an emergency situation, but we're always ready, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
The partnerships that both of you provide for the Norfolk Public Schools is invaluable. That's our model of athletic training, is to outsource, and we feel real comfortable with what Atlantic has done for us, and then what you have been able to do in a short time. But you've been with us for a couple of years. You used to be the athletic trainer at Lake Taylor, so you're very familiar with the Norfolk Public Schools. And then Molly, you're a veteran now, so you have, I think, is this your fourth year? Fifth year, okay. So again, everything that you guys do, we truly appreciate, and we look forward to having you back on the show to talk more about athletic training and what's going on at the middle school and the high school level.
Cool. Right, thanks for having us.
More NPS Now after this.
Welcome back to NPS Now. With me today is Jamie Pfistner, the Senior Coordinator for Early Learning and Title I. Welcome, Jamie, back to NPS Now.
Thank you for having me.
I'm glad to have you. And I want to chat with you a little bit about preschool and what we're doing here in pre-K. And approximately how many students do we have enrolled in pre-K here in Norfolk Public Schools?
We have a couple of preschool programs. We have preschool for our 3-year-olds, which is our Title I preschool, and we have just under 400 students enrolled in that program. We also have our 4-year-old program known as the Virginia Preschool Initiative, and that has approximately 1,600 students in it now. We also have a new grant called the Virginia Preschool Initiative Plus grant, which is a federal grant being operated through the state, and we have room in that program for another 200 students.
So is the VPI, I think you call it VPI Plus, is this a new grant to Norfolk Public Schools?
It is a new grant. This is a federal grant awarded to several states around the country, and Virginia was one of those states, and Norfolk is one of the beneficiaries of the grant, which allows us to have a model of high-quality preschool for the rest of the preschool programs in the state to follow.
How much grant money for this particular program did we receive?
It is quite a bit. We have about $2 million that allows us to not only hire the teachers and the staff, but also to outfit the classrooms, to bring in the curriculum and professional development training for the teachers so that our students can benefit the most and be kindergarten ready.
So why did we think it was so important to hone in on our pre-K4?
Well, studies have shown over and over again that being kindergarten ready and having those very, very early foundational skills before you enter kindergarten is vital for our students to be successful. So our VPI and VPI Plus classes for our 4-year-olds really hone in on that kindergarten readiness ideal. Not only are we focused on the academics, which we do, reading and math, even some writing, some science and social studies, but we also work on the physical, gross motor skills, the fine motor skills, as well as the social, emotional skills that our students need to be kindergarten ready.
Now, did we apply for this grant, or did the state say, I see your need, I hear the call, I'm going to offer this to you?
It was a little bit of both. It was brought to us. There was some interest on the part of Norfolk Public Schools to expand our preschool program, so I think it was a mutual decision.
So how many students do you think will be covering in this pre-K for a program?
Altogether will be close to 2,000 students that we'll be serving.
At how many schools?
We have every single one of our elementary schools except for one. We also have some of our partners. We have a community partner in Norfolk State University where we do have a class at their child development lab, and they've been great to work with. And so we're looking to expand all the possibilities and see how we can recruit some of our 4-year-olds for this great opportunity.
And with any grant, there's requirements.
Yes.
So let's talk about the requirements for this
Sure.
grant.
Sure. As with the Virginia Preschool Initiative grant, the original one, this VPI Plus grant also is aimed at targeting our most at-risk students. We really want to target those students that really need that extra year of school right before kindergarten in order to be kindergarten ready. One of the things that the grant looks for is students that might be in poverty or in that poverty realm, so that we can really target those families that might need that assistance and can't afford for the private preschool programs. So we definitely need to have income requirements. We also need proof of residence. We have to have residents of the city of Norfolk. And we also need birth certificates just to prove the age to make sure that they are 4.
What's an example of the salary or the income requirements that the parents have to have in order to qualify for this program?
Sure. The documents that you bring, it could be anything from a W-2. It could also be 2 pay stubs. It can be any government assistance that you may receive. It can be child support, whatever the income might be. We have some families that don't have an income at this time. They might be unemployed or out on disability, and we take that into consideration as we are completing the registration packet.
So how are we filling some of these spots?
Well, we have lots of, you may have noticed, we are canvassing the city with flyers and other opportunities. We have, we're looking at doing other advertisements on TV as well as in newspapers. Some of our residents might be receiving some flyers in their community newsletters as well, really trying to bring people in, and we encourage them on those flyers to call our office, which is 628-3944, to schedule an appointment with us so we can come to you or you can come to us and we can complete a packet.
So what schools are available?
Most of our schools, we do have a few that don't have any openings, but most of our schools do have at least 1 or 2 that we are looking to fill. So space is limited at various locations, but we encourage families to call so we can talk through the options.
So how has it been going so far? Are we getting a lot of parents responding? Because I know our office has done a lot of blitzing to get the parents' attention, but are they actually calling?
Yes, they are. Our offices, especially after the robocall went out, and many of the families may have received that phone call, we did have quite an influx of phone calls this week, and we've scheduled many appointments. I myself was out taking registrations this morning at Grandy Village, and so it's been a great opportunity. We've already had these families enrolling at the school level, so their students have already started school, and they just registered this week, so it's a great opportunity for families.
Give us the phone number again, because I want parents to definitely call you, because once they call you, they have to set an appointment and have more communication with you.
Correct. Our number is 628-3944, and we are accepting appointments during the day, but for families that may work and might need evening appointments or even weekend appointments, we absolutely can make that happen.
So what else do parents need to know about the VPI program?
Just to know that if you have a child that is 4 years old and you think this child could benefit from this program, to please give us a call. If you're not sure about the income requirements, if you're not sure what you need to bring, or if you're not sure if you would meet that requirement, we encourage people to give us a call. We can talk through the options, go with case-by-case basis just to make sure, but this is a great program for our 4-year-olds to be school ready, and we encourage parents to give us a call.
And they need to be 4 by when?
September 30th of this year, 2015.
This year. Wow. And I'm excited to see what's happening.
Absolutely.
I mean, from looking at the faces, and you do this every year pretty much, do recruitment for pre-K. And so this program will actually start from what month to what month?
They can enroll. If they enroll today, for example, we had students who went right to the school. If that school has some openings, they can go right there and they can begin for this school year, and we'll start our new campaign for the following school year in just a few months.
Okay. One more time. What's the phone number again?
One more time. That number is 628-3944.
And we hope that the parents will call, sign their 4-year-olds up, and we have how many spots available now?
Right now we have approximately 160 spots that we are looking to fill.
Great. Well, I hope you get those spots filled after this show.
Absolutely. Thank you.
If not, we'll have you back on the show.
Sounds great.
Great. And we want to thank you for watching NPS Now. It airs weekly on WNPS, Channel 47, or you can view us online at www.npsk12.com. If you have any great story ideas or information you'd like to share, email us at nps_news@npsk12.com. Again, we want to thank you for watching NPS Now.